Hi, it's Paul, and today I'm an old man with a paddleboard and I'm going to answer a question which was put to me completely outside of YouTube, nothing to do with social media. I was paddling on the canal a few days back and someone wandered past and generally said good morning, blah, 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 blah. And they said to me, "Are you recording?" To which I said, yes. They said, "Oh, what do you do about the fact that you're on the water? Do you worry about trashing your camera equipment and stuff?" So I thought that might be of interest to people. So the answer is, do I worry about trashing the camera equipment? No, because I use Insta360 cameras. That's an old 1R, which I still use. I don't have any of the 1RSs or anything newer. That's a Insta360 X3, which is fabulous. Again, the X4 is out now. Just does me fine. But they are waterproof, allegedly, to, I don't know, a couple of meters or whatever. I'm not interested. Because in my instance, I only really worry about being sort of a metre maximum, 3 foot under the water. Because the worst that's going to happen is I fall off the paddleboard and I fall in the water and have to get back out again 30 seconds later, because I don't want to spend my time in the water. However, when it comes to microphones, the story is somewhat different. When I started out using this stuff, I always used a wireless Go 2. No, sorry, I don't have a wireless Go 2. When I started out recording stuff, I always used a Rode Wireless Go. This is the Mark 1 version, the single one. And that has a transmitter. Sorry, that probably came off loud. That has a transmitter and a receiver that's stuck on the side of the camera, and it's connected into the camera, and the audio goes direct onto the camera. The Wireless Go 2, the one that has 2 transmitters, I'm not sure whether that will record on board or what, I don't know. Anyway, I also have, or I invested in later, DJI mics, and these record on board. So this is a standalone recorder. I can clip this on my hat and press the record button. It will record and I can download the file later. Fabulous. But it's not waterproof. So thereby becomes a problem. The original fix I had was this Aquapac dry bag. It's a phone case, and it has a cable connection to the outside. So it's got a 3.5mm jack on the inside, it's got a 3.5mm jack receptacle on the outside, and I would connect up this cheap nasty lav mic to the outside. I would put the DJI mic on the inside, plug it in, switch it on, and this would be protected. Alright, if this got trashed, then so be it, but I think this cost me about £9 UK, so I wasn't particularly worried. But it was still a lot of faff, because the waterproof case sits in my pocket or hangs around my neck or whatever, and I've got to have the cables draped about and blah blah blah. And it was a pain in the neck. Some of my earlier stuff on the paddleboard, it is what I'm using. The sound quality was adequate. But I was kind of looking for a better solution. So I was watching a video by someone who I've now lost the video and I've no clue who it is, so my apologies. And they were saying they used a similar sort of mic to start with. Their video was actually about a waterproof mic, and I thought, oh yeah, that's what I need. Yeah, £400 plus blah blah blah, UK pounds price. Yeah, I'm not buying one of them, I don't have that budget. But he said originally what he used to do was use, I think it was something like a DJI mic, and he'd put it in a condom and tie the end up, and job's a good one. I don't have box fulls of condoms, but I do have nitrile gloves. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe I could use the finger of a nitrile glove and use that to waterproof it. So I came up with a plan, and of course the first thing I needed to think about was how to knot the end. If you were blowing up a balloon, for instance, you just tie a thumb knot in the end and that's great. But let me just demonstrate. I'll cut a finger off this this pair of gloves. I will shove the DJI mic inside it. Okay, now that particular finger I might just get away with twisting round and putting a knot in, but it's fiddly, and it was like, oh, that's a pain in the neck. So I was looking for another solution, and I thought I was messing about in the garage one day and came across a box of O-rings and thought, oh, I wonder whether I could use one of those to seal the end of the finger. So this is a standard O-ring. I think this is either a 2.5mm ID or 3mm ID. It's the smallest one in a kit of O-rings that I've had since forever, that I had through work. Same as the gloves, I had them through work, and they're commercially available. You can buy a kit of O-rings on Screwfix, or you can buy 2.5mm, 3mm O-rings on Amazon or eBay or whatever. So, how to get the O-ring over there? I have this, again, from years in engineering. This is a grommet cable gland O-ring spreader. You put the O-ring on it and you pull the trigger and it expands the O-ring, and it works. If you pull it too hard, it breaks the O-ring, which isn't great, but it was still fiddly, and of course not everyone's got access to one of them, and I dread to think how much that would cost me to buy now. Like I say, I've had it donkey's years. So I was looking for another solution, and I developed this tool. I'm quite prepared to sell this one for, I don't know, £70–80, or you could get your own paper clip and bend it up yourself. Okay, the mic is in the finger of the glove. I twist it up, and I discovered twisting it is quite important. If you don't twist it up, it does have the potential to leak water. I put the bent up paper clip round it. So the paper clip is essentially just folded in half with a bit of a loop at the end. I put these two right angles in to give me a bit more purchase on it when I'm pulling on it, which you'll see in a moment. Then I take the O-ring and I feed the O-ring down onto the paper clip, at which point that's come untwisted, so let's just redo it. And I now have the paper clip around the glove. I have the O-ring over the paper clip, and I just pull it through. It's a bit fiddly, but it's doable. And there you go, the paper clip has pulled a loop of the glove through the O-ring. So now I can slide the paper clip back off, and that's held the knot in place. If I want, I can get my scissors, I can trim off some of the excess, not getting too near, but just tidying it up. And that's that. And so we're good to go. If I press the power button, I can feel it power up and I can see the green light flashing. If I press the record button, which I can just about see the outline of, I can see the red record light come on. We have a saying in the UK, proof of the pudding is in the eating. Well, I'm not going to eat it, but there we go. I'm going to leave that in there, recording away for, I don't know, half an hour or something. Let me just wipe the condensation off. And if I turn it round, with a bit of luck, you might see on camera the indicator lights. Certainly I can see the green one just there. Hopefully you can see it. I'll see when I'm in the edit. And like I say, I'm going to leave that on there for a while. Oh yeah, if I turn it around I can see both the green and the red light. So hopefully you can see the green and red lights showing that the mic is working. What I also discovered is that, somewhat bizarrely, where I left it recording, I was checking the audio afterwards and I found that I can actually, it still works, as in records, and it can hear me while it's dumped in a bottle of water, which I thought was very odd. I've no idea what I'm going to do with that piece of information because I can't talk underwater. It doesn't work particularly well. So it's of no advantage. It was just a curious thing I noticed. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there recording, and I'll see you in half an hour or so. Editor Paul here, just going to leap in the convenient half-hour gap to mention one thing that I've realised I haven't talked about at any point in this video, and that is, why don't I just record directly onto the cameras, because they have onboard mics. And yes, that's perfectly okay. Problem I face with that is that in my instance on the paddleboard, the camera sits down at the nose of the paddleboard, about 4 or 5 inches off the top of the paddleboard, and I suppose my head is 8 foot away from it, something like that. So whilst it will pick up audio from me, it also picks up audio from the water, any splashing or anything like that, any wildlife, swans, ducks, geese, anything else that's jumping about on the river. All of that comes and drowns out any audio that I might put on. So I need, or I prefer to have a separate mic set up to record the audio separately. There you go. Okay, half hour later, I've emptied the water out of the pot. There's the mic. It's a bit damp on the outside. Give it a bit of a wipe over before I take the O-ring off. Take the O-ring off. And I'm going to turn it off now. Get the finger of the glove off it. There's a bit of water in the end where it was open before the O-ring, so that may have got down inside. Just then. So there we have it, back out of the finger of the glove. Yeah, there's a tiny little bit of moisture on it. That could have got in just then when I was taking it out the finger of the glove. Let's just turn that inside out, see whether it's wet or not. Doesn't seem to be. So 100% successful? Well, it works for me. Just bear in mind a couple of things. The potential for the mic, in my instance, to be underwater for a significant amount of time is low. If it's underwater, that probably means I've lost it, which is a game changer anyway, or an end game. Normally speaking, if I'm going to fall off the paddleboard, or if I'm out on the bike in the rain, it's going to be a momentary immersion. If I fall off the board, I'm in the water, I flounder about for half a minute, drag myself back on the board, maybe a minute, but in that time it's probably only actually underwater 10 seconds, something like that. So it's not long-term immersion in my instance. If you want something for long-term immersion, then this probably isn't the solution. This may not be the solution that you're looking for anyway. For me it works. It's dirt cheap. I already have the O-rings and I have the gloves. I think boxes of gloves are anywhere between about £8 and £10 these days for maybe 100 gloves. The O-ring kits I think are about 11 quid, and you probably get about 10 O-rings out of that. So that's a 20 quid investment, 25 pound investment to do this. So you might decide that you want to do something better. You might decide that you want to go out and buy a pack of condoms. I don't know whether they're any stronger or less strong than these. I've got no idea, and it's not something I'm expecting to research. Is it guaranteed watertight? No, absolutely not. The issue is, of course, that you're not going to know until after it's got wet. Maybe even when you plug it in and go, oh, I can't download anything anymore because it doesn't work. It's kind of a black and white situation, because either it's going to work or it isn't going to work, but you're not going to know until after you've used it. So you do have the potential of losing all your files that you've recorded. So like I say, would I guarantee it? Absolutely not. It's worked for me. I've used it probably a couple of dozen times, and I've never had any issues. Otherwise I wouldn't bother explaining it. Okay, enough waffle about that. The other question, of course, is, given that it's inside the finger of the glove, the clip is not available anymore, so how do I connect it to my hat? And here, with the aid of the other one, which I left recording, that was clever. Here, with the aid of the other one, this is how it's connected. The good thing about the DJI mic is the clip of it is magnetic. So all I've done, more investment, I bought a load of these magnets off eBay, neodymium strip magnets, 60mm long, 3mm thick, 10mm wide. I bought them to hang stuff on the wall because I use them instead of hooks, so metal gear hangs on the cupboard doors and stuff. But I thought, if I can get a couple of them on the bottom of the peak, then the microphone will stick to them, and it does. Let me just stop that. So what I did, on this one, the liner of the peak is all one piece, so I cut the stitching on the back of it. They come with 3M double-sided sticky pads, so I stuck sticky pads on 2 of them. There's 2 in there. I slid them inside and I glued them to the underside of the peak former, which is PVC or polypropylene or something, some form of plastic. Works perfectly well on that. One of these days I'll stitch that back up, maybe. If I look at a couple of my other hats, that's a sealskin's waterproof hat, lightweight one. I've got a couple of different sealskins ones. This is a folding one. It'll work on this again as well, because the liner underneath is all one piece and not stitched. I'd put one either side of the fold on this. I may do it one day. This is my Oshkosh hat, and it won't work on this because it's got stitch lines round on through that go right the way through the liner and the top side of the peak. So I would either have to use shorter magnets, or I'd have to cut through the stitching down here, and then obviously I can't stitch it up again afterwards. Maybe you won't worry about that. But that's kind of it. Like I say, it works for me. If you think it's going to work for you, great. If you think that's way too sketchy, Paul, I'm not going near that, fine. Your decision. Other than that, hope it's been of some help. If you've got any questions or anything about it, drop them below or over on oldmanwith.com as always. If I think about it and I've got the time, I'll put a blog post up on the website about it so it's easier to get to. And outside of that, if you've hung in here to the end, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.